My beloved child. Stop scrolling for just a moment. Something has been quietly moving toward you for longer than you realize. What you are about to hear did not arrive here by accident. Out of countless voices competing for your attention, this message found you for a reason. There is a moment unfolding beyond what your eyes can see, and every passing heartbeat is bringing it closer. Do not rush away. Stay with these words until the very end, because what seems ordinary now may soon become the beginning of something you once believed could never happen. You have wondered in silence whether your prayers disappeared into empty skies. You have questioned whether the tears you hid from everyone else were noticed. Even when you smiled before the world, your heart carried questions that no one could answer. But I have seen every hidden chapter. I have counted every lonely night. I have remained beside you through every disappointment, even when you believed heaven had become silent. Silence was never absence. Silence was preparation. There is a reason your spirit has felt different recently. Perhaps you could not explain it. Perhaps you blamed exhaustion or coincidence. Yet deep within you, something has been awakening. Your heart has sensed that a season is changing before your mind could understand it. The atmosphere around your life has begun to shift in ways that cannot yet be measured by human eyes. Invisible doors have started to unlock. Quiet conversations have begun where you cannot hear them. Pieces that once seemed scattered are slowly moving into their rightful places. Do not ignore this feeling. It has visited you because the story you thought had ended is approaching an unexpected turning point. Every delay carried a purpose you could not yet recognize. Every unanswered question protected you from seeing the ending before you were ready to live it. Listen carefully. Someone has been carrying thoughts they cannot easily silence. Long before this moment, I began working within a heart connected to yours by threads too deep for the world to understand. You may call this person your soulmate. You may simply know them as the one whose path has not yet fully crossed yours. Whatever name you give them does not change what has already begun beyond the limits of time. Do not misunderstand these words. This is not about forcing another person's choices or promising a specific future. This is a story of hope, healing, and possibility. It is about the mysterious ways hearts can change when they become ready to receive truth. While you have been focusing on surviving one more day, another journey has quietly unfolded elsewhere. Questions have been forming. Memories have been resurfacing. Unexpected emotions have been appearing without warning. Moments that once seemed insignificant now carry new meaning. They cannot fully explain why certain thoughts continue returning, yet they do. Have you noticed how life sometimes gathers countless tiny moments before revealing the larger picture? A single conversation. An unexpected memory. A familiar song. A passing face in a crowd. None of these appear important on their own, yet together they become the beginning of a miracle no one saw coming. This is how many of my greatest works begin. Not with thunder. Not with spectacle. But with quiet movements inside ordinary hearts. There is something you must understand before the next part of this story can unfold. The greatest obstacle was never distance. It was timing. You asked why everything seemed delayed. You wondered why opportunities slipped away just as they appeared close enough to touch. You questioned why every hopeful beginning seemed interrupted before it became reality. Yet if those doors had opened earlier, they would have led you into a chapter neither of you were prepared to carry. Growth often feels like waiting. Preparation often feels like loss. Healing often disguises itself as loneliness. Only later does the heart recognize that every painful pause was quietly protecting something beautiful. That is why I ask you now. Do not let discouragement convince you that nothing is happening. Much has been happening. Far more than you realize. Even now, while these words are reaching your eyes, invisible pieces continue moving into place. Stay here. Do not leave this message yet. There is more you need to hear before this moment passes. Your heart has become stronger than it was a year ago. You survived conversations that nearly broke you. You walked through disappointments that convinced you no one truly understood you. Still, you continued. Even when hope became difficult to hold, you refused to completely let it go. I saw that courage. The world measures strength by what people accomplish. Heaven measures strength by what people continue believing after disappointment. That is why your story has not been forgotten. There have been moments when you almost stopped expecting goodness altogether. You settled for surviving because dreaming felt too painful. Yet even then, a tiny flame remained alive within your spirit. That flame is the reason you are reading these words today. Some miracles begin the moment someone decides not to surrender. Your soulmate's journey has carried its own hidden battles. Lessons had to be learned. Wounds had to heal. Perspectives had to change. Certain fears needed to lose their power before two paths could safely move closer together. What appeared to you as distance was often transformation. What appeared as silence was often reflection. What appeared as absence was often preparation. Every chapter has carried meaning. Now something unexpected has begun. An ordinary moment became extraordinary without anyone realizing it. A simple event awakened emotions that had been sleeping. A memory surfaced. A realization followed. Then another. Piece by piece, walls that seemed permanent began showing small cracks. No one around them fully understands why they suddenly feel different. Even they struggle to explain it. Yet heaven understands. Because seeds planted long ago are finally beginning to grow. You have prayed for signs. Sometimes you expected dramatic miracles. Sometimes you looked toward the horizon waiting for unmistakable proof. Yet many answers arrive quietly before they become visible. The sunrise begins long before light reaches the earth. Spring begins before flowers bloom. Healing begins before pain disappears. Love often begins before two people recognize its presence. Stay with this message. Do not skip ahead. The next moments matter more than you know. You may have noticed unusual peace arriving for brief moments recently. It came unexpectedly, then disappeared just as quickly. That peace was not random. It was a whisper reminding your soul that despair does not have the final word. Every season carries an ending. Every ending carries a beginning. Every beginning carries possibilities still hidden from human understanding. There are 6 symbolic minutes in this story, not measured by a clock alone, but by moments of readiness. Every passing moment represents another layer falling away from fear, another step toward clarity, another invitation to trust what cannot yet be seen. You may think nothing extraordinary could happen so soon. Yet history has changed in a single conversation. Lives have changed in a single decision. Hearts have changed in a single realization. Never underestimate what one prepared moment can accomplish. Something is closer than it appears. Closer than yesterday. Closer than last week. Closer than the version of yourself who nearly gave up believing. But before everything becomes clearer, there is one truth you have not yet seen, a truth connected not only to your future, but also to a choice quietly unfolding in another heart at this very moment. When that hidden choice is finally revealed, you will understand why every delay suddenly makes sense, and why these final symbolic minutes matter far more than you could possibly imagine. The next revelation changes everything. The next revelation begins where certainty ends. Remain here for a little longer. Do not hurry past this moment. Sometimes the greatest answers arrive only after the heart has become still enough to receive them. If you have stayed this far, it is because something inside you recognizes that this message is speaking to a hope you have carried for a very long time. The hidden choice I spoke of has not appeared suddenly. It has been forming quietly through countless ordinary moments that seem too small to matter. Every experience, every unexpected encounter, every lesson learned through joy and disappointment has been shaping two separate journeys that were never meant to remain separate. Forever. There was a season when your soulmate believed they understood exactly what they needed. They trusted only what they could explain. They followed familiar patterns, convincing themselves that certainty would protect them from disappointment. Yet certainty without wisdom often leads people farther from the place where peace is waiting. So I allowed time to become a teacher. Not to punish. Not to delay for the sake of delay. But to prepare a heart that still had more growing to do. While you were learning patience, they were learning perspective. While you were discovering resilience, they were discovering humility. While you were asking why certain doors remained closed, they were beginning to understand why some doors should never have been opened in the first place. Neither journey was wasted. Every chapter carried purpose. Even the pages filled with questions were quietly writing an answer that neither of you could yet read. Have you ever noticed how a river never rushes because it knows exactly where it is going? It bends around obstacles. It flows through valleys. It disappears behind forests only to emerge again stronger than before. Your story has followed that same pattern. What looked like detours were often the safest path toward the destination prepared for you. There were moments when you almost settled for less than what your heart truly desired. You considered accepting relationships, dreams, or expectations simply because waiting felt too difficult. Yet something within you always whispered, "Not yet." That whisper protected you. There were opportunities that looked beautiful on the outside but would have left your spirit empty. There were conversations that ended sooner than you wished because they were never meant to become permanent. There were people who walked away because they were only meant to accompany you through one season, not the entire journey. You mourned those endings. Heaven understood those tears. But now you can begin to see why every goodbye created space for a future hello. Meanwhile, another heart has begun noticing things it once overlooked. The kindness that once seemed ordinary now appears extraordinary. The memories that were once ignored now return with surprising clarity. The questions once pushed aside now refuse to disappear. Sometimes transformation begins with a single quiet realization. Sometimes it begins when someone finally becomes honest with themselves. That honesty is more powerful than many people realize. It breaks pride. It softens fear. It opens doors that stubbornness kept locked for years. Something like that has begun. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But deeply. Even now, they cannot fully explain why certain thoughts keep returning. They may try to distract themselves. They may convince themselves it is only coincidence. Yet the deeper they search for ordinary explanations, the more they discover that some moments cannot be dismissed so easily. This is not because their freedom has been taken away. It is because truth has become impossible to ignore. Truth has a gentle persistence. It does not shout. It patiently waits until the heart is ready to listen. Your own heart has experienced this before. Think about the lessons you resisted until one day they suddenly became obvious. Think about the wisdom you once rejected because you were not yet ready to receive it. Growth often arrives quietly before it becomes visible. This is why I ask you once again. Do not allow impatience to steal the peace that has already begun growing within you. The clock you watch is not the only clock that exists. There is another rhythm beyond human schedules. A rhythm of preparation. A rhythm of healing. A rhythm of purpose. Nothing within that rhythm is wasted. You may feel as though only a few symbolic minutes remain before something changes, but those minutes are not meant to create fear. They are meant to remind you that hope often arrives closer than it appears. Every sunrise spends hours beneath the horizon before anyone sees the first light. Every harvest spends months beneath the soil before anyone gathers fruit. Every meaningful relationship begins long before two hearts recognize the path that has been unfolding all along. So remain faithful in small moments. Continue choosing kindness when bitterness seems easier. Continue believing when disappointment whispers louder than hope. Continue becoming the person you prayed to become. Because when opportunity finally arrives, preparation will matter far more than prediction. There is one final piece I have not yet revealed. It is not merely about another person's awakening. It is about your own. Before two paths can fully recognize one another, there is something within your own heart that must become unmistakably clear. A truth you have overlooked is about to step into the light, and when it does, you will understand that this entire journey has been preparing you for more than a relationship. It has been preparing you for a new beginning that reaches far beyond anything you have imagined. And the moment that truth is revealed, nothing about the story will ever feel the same again. My beloved child, remain with me a little longer. Do not let your attention drift now, because the next part of this journey is where hidden pieces begin to fit together. You have walked through the mystery, and now you are standing at the edge of understanding. The answers are not arriving all at once, because the deepest truths are not meant to overwhelm the heart. They are revealed one step at a time, just as dawn slowly replaces the darkness. There is something I want you to understand that many people overlook. You have spent so much time asking when your blessing would arrive that you almost missed the quiet transformation taking place within you. The greatest miracle has never been only about meeting the right person. The greater miracle is becoming the person who can receive love with wisdom, peace, and confidence. Think back to the version of yourself who once believed every closed door was rejection. That person carried fears that no one else could see. Every disappointment felt permanent. Every delay seemed like proof that hope had been misplaced. Yet look at how far you have come. Even though the journey has not been easy, you are no longer the same soul who first began praying for answers. Your compassion has deepened. Your patience has grown. Your understanding of what truly matters has become clearer. These changes did not happen overnight. They were shaped by countless ordinary days that seemed unimportant while you were living them. Every challenge became a lesson. Every unanswered prayer became an invitation to trust more deeply. Every season of waiting quietly strengthened the foundation beneath your future. Now another heart is beginning to experience a similar awakening. There are moments when they suddenly pause without knowing why. A familiar feeling gently returns. A conversation echoes in their thoughts long after it has ended. A quiet longing begins to replace old distractions. They cannot explain why certain memories have become brighter than before, but those moments are preparing them to see life through different eyes. This is how many important changes begin. Not through pressure. Not through fear. But through gentle clarity. The heart slowly recognizes what the mind once overlooked. Do not imagine this transformation as something dramatic or loud. Many of heaven's greatest works happen in silence. Roots grow where no one can see them. Seeds awaken beneath the soil long before anyone notices green leaves reaching toward the light. In the same way, unseen growth often comes before visible change. Perhaps you have wondered why this message speaks so often about hope instead of certainty. It is because hope keeps the heart open. Certainty can sometimes become pride. Hope remains humble enough to keep listening. That is why I ask you not to hold too tightly to your own expectations. Leave room for surprises greater than the plans you have written for yourself. Sometimes what you imagined was only a small glimpse of what was truly possible. Your future has never been limited by your imagination. There have been moments recently that seemed ordinary, but they were not ordinary at all. A thought that appeared without warning. A feeling of unexpected peace. A sudden desire to let go of an old hurt. These were gentle reminders that a new chapter is drawing closer. You may not have recognized them at the time, yet they were invitations to prepare your heart instead of preparing only your expectations. Stay with this message. There is still one more layer to uncover. Many people believe that miracles always arrive in spectacular ways, but often they begin with a simple decision. A decision to forgive. A decision to trust again. A decision to believe that yesterday does not have the authority to define tomorrow. Those decisions create space for new possibilities. You cannot carry every old wound into every new beginning. Some burdens were only meant to teach you, not remain with you forever. Release what no longer belongs to this next season. Release the fear that says nothing good could happen. Release the voice that insists you have already missed your opportunity. Release the belief that your best days must remain behind you. None of those voices speak with the authority of truth. The story is still unfolding. The pages are still turning. The author has not finished writing. There is another reason these symbolic 6 minutes matter. They remind you that life can change more quickly than you expect. One conversation can restore hope. One act of kindness can redirect a future. One unexpected encounter can begin a journey that no one could have predicted. Remain ready. Not anxious. Not restless. Ready. Readiness is peaceful. It is the quiet confidence that believes goodness is possible without demanding that it arrive according to a personal schedule. This kind of faith creates room for joy even before the answer becomes visible. As this chapter draws toward its close, another truth begins to emerge. The next step in your journey will not simply reveal what has been happening in another heart. It will reveal something about your own purpose that has remained hidden until now. When those two revelations meet, you will finally understand why this season could never have been rushed. The final pieces are closer than they have ever been. And what is about to be revealed next will connect every unanswered question, every delay, and every quiet prayer into one breathtaking picture that you have not yet seen. The story is not finished. The greatest revelation is still waiting. My beloved child, you have remained with these words because something within your spirit recognizes that hope is stronger than coincidence. Continue for a little longer. The path ahead is becoming clearer, and what once appeared to be disconnected moments is beginning to reveal a beautiful pattern that has existed all along. There are seasons when people search everywhere for signs, never realizing that the greatest sign is the quiet transformation taking place inside their own hearts. You have asked for clarity, yet clarity often arrives gently. It does not force itself upon you. It unfolds one faithful step at a time until suddenly you look back and realize that everything has been changing without you noticing. This is one of those moments. The waiting has not only been preparing circumstances. It has been preparing you. Many people pray for a blessing while unknowingly resisting the very growth that would allow them to receive it. But you have continued walking forward, even through uncertainty. You chose kindness after disappointment. You chose hope after discouragement. You chose to keep believing, even when the outcome remained hidden. Heaven never overlooks quiet faithfulness. Every unseen act of patience has meaning. Every whispered prayer has value. Every moment you chose compassion instead of bitterness has become part of the foundation for the chapter that is approaching. Now imagine two rivers flowing through distant valleys. For a long time, they appear completely separate. They face different landscapes, different seasons, different challenges. Yet beyond the horizon, where neither river can yet see, they are moving toward the same destination. This is how many meaningful journeys unfold. Not through hurried timing. Not through forced circumstances. But through patient direction. The path has been moving all along, even when it felt still. There is another truth I want to place gently into your heart. Do not measure your future by your past disappointments. The people who misunderstood you do not define the people who will understand you. The opportunities that disappeared do not define the opportunities still ahead. The chapters that ended do not determine how the next chapter begins. You have carried memories that made you question your own worth. Sometimes you wondered whether you had somehow missed what was meant for you. Sometimes you believed you had waited too long. But time has never erased purpose. Purpose waits. Purpose grows. Purpose continues working even when human eyes cannot see it. This is why I have repeatedly invited you to remain present instead of becoming consumed by fear about tomorrow. Peace gives wisdom room to speak. Fear only creates noise. As another heart continues its own quiet awakening, something unexpected is also happening within yours. You are beginning to see yourself differently. Not through the opinions of others. Not through past mistakes. But through the understanding that your value has never depended on how quickly your prayers appeared to be answered. Your worth was never delayed. Only certain seasons were. There is freedom in realizing this. When you stop chasing validation, you begin recognizing purpose. When you stop comparing your journey to everyone else's, you begin appreciating the unique path prepared for you. Comparison steals peace. Purpose restores it. Stay with these words. The picture is becoming clearer. The symbolic 6 minutes have never been about creating panic. They have always been about reminding you that moments of transformation often arrive unexpectedly. Life can appear completely ordinary until one conversation, one realization, or one act of courage quietly changes everything that follows. You do not need to know every detail of tomorrow to walk faithfully today. The next step is enough. Then the next. Then another. This is how every meaningful journey is lived. Trust grows through each step, not before it. There is still something beautiful waiting beyond what you can currently imagine. Not because every challenge will disappear. Not because every question will instantly receive an answer. But because your heart is becoming strong enough to walk forward with confidence, regardless of what remains unseen. That is the kind of peace heaven desires for you. A peace that does not depend on perfect circumstances. A hope that remains steady through changing seasons. A love that inspires courage instead of fear. As this part comes to a close, I leave you with one final thought to carry into the next chapter. Somewhere beyond what your eyes can presently see, another page is already turning. A quiet decision is drawing closer. A conversation is approaching. A new understanding is beginning to take shape. When those moments finally meet the path you have been walking, you will recognize that none of this has been random. Every prayer. Every lesson. Every delay. Every unexpected turn. They have all been leading toward a moment that will reveal not only how far you have come, but why this entire journey needed to unfold exactly as it did. And when that moment arrives, the message you have been waiting to hear will finally be spoken, bringing together every hidden thread in a way that only heaven could have imagined. The final revelation is still ahead. My beloved child. You have come this far because something within your heart refuses to let go of hope. That quiet determination is not weakness. It is evidence that your spirit still recognizes the possibility of light, even after walking through long seasons that seemed covered by clouds. Remain here with me. Do not rush this moment. The greatest revelations are not meant to be hurried. You have heard about preparation. You have heard about timing. Now it is time to understand why those truths mattered so deeply. There are moments in every life when people believe they are waiting on heaven, while heaven is patiently helping them become ready for what they have been asking to receive. Readiness is rarely dramatic. It grows through ordinary choices made day after day. Every time you chose forgiveness over resentment, you became more ready. Every time you chose kindness when disappointment tempted you toward bitterness, you became more ready. Every time you chose hope instead of surrender, another piece of your future quietly found its proper place. Nothing was wasted. Not one prayer. Not one tear. Not one lesson. Even the chapters you wished you could erase became part of the wisdom that now lives within you. That wisdom is more valuable than you know. It allows you to recognize genuine peace instead of temporary excitement. It teaches you to value character more than appearances. It reminds you that what lasts is often built slowly, patiently, and faithfully. This is why your journey could never have followed someone else's timeline. Your story carries its own rhythm. Its own purpose. Its own beautiful unfolding. While your heart has been changing, another heart has also been learning lessons that could not be rushed. There were misunderstandings that needed clarity. There were fears that needed compassion. There were expectations that needed to fall away so that something stronger could be built in their place. Transformation often begins with a single honest moment. A moment when someone finally admits what they have been avoiding. A moment when pride quietly steps aside. A moment when truth becomes more important than comfort. Those moments are powerful because they change the direction of everything that follows. Perhaps you have experienced such a moment yourself. A conversation that stayed with you long after it ended. A realization that quietly changed how you viewed your entire journey. A simple act of kindness that restored your faith in people. Life is filled with these sacred turning points. Many pass by without recognizing them. But those who remain attentive discover that even ordinary days can carry extraordinary meaning. That is why I continue inviting you to stay present. Do not become so focused on tomorrow that you overlook today's quiet miracles. The peace you felt unexpectedly. The strength you discovered after believing you had none left. The courage to begin again after disappointment. These are not small things. They are reminders that your story is moving forward, even when progress seems invisible. Now imagine standing before a beautiful sunrise. The horizon begins to brighten long before the sun itself appears. You cannot see the full light yet, but you know it is coming because the darkness no longer feels complete. This season of your life is like that horizon. The first light has already begun. The full beauty is still approaching. Do not mistake the early light for the finished sunrise. There is more to come. Much more. Your heart has asked, how will I know when the right moment has arrived? The answer is simpler than you expect. Peace will lead where fear once pushed. Wisdom will guide where confusion once ruled. Patience will replace desperation. Hope will become steadier than uncertainty. You will not need to force what has been prepared with care. The right season carries its own quiet confidence. This is why I ask you once more. Keep your heart open. Keep your spirit gentle. Keep your faith alive. Not because everything is already visible, but because not everything that is real can be seen at once. The symbolic 6 minutes are drawing closer to their fulfillment. Each passing moment represents another layer of doubt falling away. Another reminder that unseen preparation has never stopped. Another invitation to believe that goodness often arrives when it seems least expected. Before this story reaches its conclusion, one final truth must be revealed. It is not only about another person's journey. It is about the purpose that has been quietly growing within your own life all along. When that purpose becomes clear, you will understand that every unanswered question carried you toward greater wisdom. Every delay deepened your character. Every unexpected turn redirected you toward something better than you could have planned alone. The final chapter is approaching. The conversation that has been quietly forming is almost ready to begin. The hidden pieces are almost ready to connect. And when they finally do, you will look back over every step of this journey and realize that what felt like waiting was actually the gentle hand of heaven leading you toward a future filled not with fear, but with peace, purpose, and hope beyond anything you imagined. The last revelation is closer than ever, and everything you have heard so far has been preparing your heart for what comes next.